that my medical sources have told me that Joe Biden had 2 brain aneurysms, not
30 years
one,
ago,
but 2 brain aneurysms. I pray to God it's not true, but my medical sources are solid on this. That
I pray to God this isn't true. But I've got some inside sources on this. And is it, I mean, it could be what kind of, this is, God, how could it possibly be? What kind of inside look does she have? Who are her medical sources? That she, I mean, how do you even get this kind of information? I mean, who knows where the, oh, hi, what was this? What Joe Biden learned from his life-threatening brain aneurysms. When is this? Updated August 14, 2020, published March 18, 2019. In early 1988, Joe Biden was devastated. The then Delaware senator had bowed out of the 88 presidential race after questions were raised about the lack of attrition to quotes used in the speech. Biden feared the scandal would tarnish his reputation, that people would consider him a cheat. He was having regular headaches, requiring him to carry around a big bottle of Tylenol. He was also feeling pain in his neck. As chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Biden had recently overseen the contentious confirmation of Robert Bork, followed by hearings for Anthony Kennedy. In February of 88, he suffered 2 February of 88. Gee whiz. Hot off the presses with this one, Maria. In February of 88, he suffered 2 life-threatening brain aneurysms. Biden has said the experience shaped him into the kind of man I want to be. In his book, Promises to Keep, wait, he wrote a book in 2007, and he talks about, was her medical source Biden's book in 2007? He describes passing out in a hotel room in Rochester in February of 88, where earlier that night he had given a speech at the University of Rochester. He recalls a lightning flash inside my head, a powerful electrical surge, and then a rip of pain like I'd never felt before. He was unconscious for 5 hours. Biden flew back to Wilmington the next morning despite feeling weak and sick. Shortly after returning to his home, he was rushed to St. Francis Hospital in Wilmington. The results of a spinal tap showed blood in his spinal fluid, meaning an artery in his brain was likely leaking. Biden wrote, a CT scan revealed an aneurysm lying below the base of his brain. Surgery was his best chance of survival. He underwent a microsurgical craniotomy, tiny little pinprick thing where they go in there and fix stuff, at Walter Reed. Interesting that they, all right. So obviously he received substandard treatment according to Donald Trump and couldn't be, all right. The chances of surviving the surgery were 50%, but the likelihood of waking up with serious deficits was even more concerning, Biden wrote. Maybe I should have been frightened at this point, but I felt calm. In fact, I felt becalmed. I felt like I was floating gently in a wide open sea. It surprised me, but I had no real fear of dying. I'd long since accepted the fact that life's guarantees do not include a fair shake. Biden recalled being completely isolated during his recovery, a decision made by his wife Jill and his staff. This meant no work or phone calls. Even when President Ronald Reagan called Biden twice, Jill was adamant about her rule and would not let Biden take the call. That May, Biden underwent a second surgery, which was a success. While recovering, Biden admits he was self-conscious about his looks. He was thin, his right eyelid drooped, and the right side of his forehead was immobile from these things. Initially, doctors weren't sure if his dead face would be permanent, Biden wrote, but 6 weeks later, the muscles in his forehead and cheek began to work again. Although Jill and his staff still kept him off the phone, Senator Ted Kennedy was the one person who broke the rule and surprised him with an in-person visit. So where in the world did Maria Bartiromo get this crazy inside the beltway? Like, did she have a mole in the doctor's office? I pray to God that the stuff that Joe Biden wrote about in a chapter of his autobiography and that was all over the news 3 decades ago isn't true. My God, woman, how in the world?
he has had 2 brain aneurysms. I hope he's okay.
He was vice president 20 years after it happened.
Do you believe that he should be disclosing that? And are
disclosing? Buy his book, you dizzy dumbass. Disclosing that. Disclosing it. It's in his autobiography. Shame on you. All right, I used to think of her as a bit of a victim in these stupid interviews. you know, clearly a Fox supporter or whatever, but not in the Judge Jeanine cut, as it were. But this is grotesque. Shame on you, Maria Bartiromo. This is disgusting.
You willing to commit to telling us any issues that may have been in the past for you if he comes clean and tells us?
Comes clean? He wrote it. It's in his autobiography from 2007. The fuck is wrong with you? Comes clean? You're talking to you're interviewing a man who clearly has mental deficits caused by his current situation and very possibly fourth stage syphilis. The man that called AIDS his personal Vietnam, who raw dogged multiple porn stars and paid for abortions. What in the hell?
Exactly what is the issue in terms of any mental issues that we need to know about for?
The question I have is, Maria, will you tell us? Will Maria Bartiromo tell us what, you know, brain malady she suffers from that she thinks that something someone wrote about in their autobiography is something they are keeping hidden?
For example, these two brain aneurysms that I have reported on in the past.
Yeah, everyone has for 30 friggin' years.
Well, I have no issues. I mean, you know.
So, again, this is a bit of a trap because if you have an issue, it's concerning and probably needs to be dealt with. And when you see it manifest, kind of like Biden's stutter, you should be aware that it's there and that's what's causing what you're seeing. So you know, oh, okay, this person isn't having it isn't a mental issue. This is a communications issue, for example. If someone were to have Bell's palsy or be paralyzed or have ALS or something, doesn't mean their soul or their spirit or their brain isn't alive and active inside their body. They just can't communicate it, right? You need to know the circumstance and the symptoms that go with what you're actually seeing. Trump's problem here is what Maria Bartiromo just asked him is that if he has no issues, then he's just fucking stupid.
In all fairness, you've known me for a long time, and I have had no issues medically.
Yosemite.
And this was the first issue, and this is artificially induced.
It's artificially induced? You caught a disease. Again, was he shot with a dart by a Chinese spy? What the hell?
By China. But I have no issues. Yeah, he should certainly come clean, and he should...
He should come clean about the stuff that's in his autobiography? Where are your taxes?
He should say something about that, absolutely.
He should. I agree. He should say something about it. You know where he probably said something about it? If you buy his autobiography as an audiobook, he reads the fucking thing.
If that's the case.
Kevin McCarthy